Hi, I'm Claire and this is Top 5 Wednesday, most recent additions to your TBR pile. Top 5 Wednesday is run by Samantha over at Thoughts on Tomes, and I will leave a link to her channel in the description box below, as well as a link to the Goodreads group for Top 5 Wednesday if you want to check out future topics and participate. I'm really excited to be talking about these recent additions to my wishlist because there are a couple of books that I want to talk about that are coming out very soon that I didn't get to mention in my most anticipated releases of 2016 video because sometimes stuff isn't announced at the beginning of the year, so I thought it was a great place to put that. But I've also got a few things that I've recently discovered or realized that I could get through the library that I want to talk about. So without further ado, let's get into the books. First, we've got Black Wolves by Kate Elliott, and this one I don't know very much about apart from the fact that it's YA if I'm not mistaken, and Kate Elliott is a very well regarded writer who's got many books under her belt. People have been particularly talking about Black Wolves and saying how good it is and that everybody should read it. It was one of a number of books that I requested from my library through Overdrive. My library has a weird system where if you request books directly through the library system and then they buy them, there is a small charge to your library account. And even though it's not that big of a charge, I'd rather not be charged for the library to buy books if I can avoid it. So I requested it through their Overdrive instead, and they actually acquired it. Hopefully I will be able to get to it soon thanks to Overdrive, which is really great. Then we have another book that isn't newly released, but it is newly on my TBR pile, and it might be a little bit weird, but bear with me. It is a book called The Invention of Murder by Judith Flanders. It's a non-fiction book about the Victorian era, I think focusing on Britain, and it's all about how the Victorians loved them a good murder story. I've read some of Judith Flanders' other non-fiction about the Victorian era. I don't know how I didn't come across The Invention of Murder before now, because it's such a great title and also it's such a great subject. The idea that murder and violence and executions, things like that, things that come out of crime are a source of entertainment for people, I guess, without a telly or the internet, and how the Victorians made crime into a genre for entertainment. That's one that I'm waiting for a new Audible credit to buy because I really like listening to non-fiction as audiobook. And now on to the newer books in this list. At number 3 we have The Muse by Jessie Burton. It is the second book by Jessie Burton, who wrote The Miniaturist. That was quite big a couple years ago when it came out. I wasn't 100% on The Miniaturist because it had some things that I'm a bit of a hard sell on personally, but at the same time it had really beautiful writing and I felt really transported into that setting of historical Amsterdam. The Muse is set, I believe, in Spain during the Spanish Civil War, and that is a setting that I've barely read anything in, and definitely not in recent years. So I'm mostly looking forward to The Muse because I know that Jessie Burton can write a really beautifully done book, even though it might not be 100% my favorite tropes or ways to do a story or anything like that. I think it will be interesting to look at something that's a little bit different from what I normally read. At number 4 I have a YA fantasy novel that is out on September 1st, and it is The Graces by Laura Eve. Now The Graces is all about witches, and it's been described as Buffy meets The Craft, which that in itself makes me want to read it. I keep seeing this book pop up on social media because I follow Laura on a bunch of platforms, and to be honest, the cover of this book alone makes me want to buy it a lot. It's a really pretty book. It's very well packaged. Whoever is doing that at the publishers, that is a really great job. Quite aside from how gorgeous it looks, the story sounds kind of intriguing. It's from the point of view of a third party, someone who's not one of the really cool Grace's sisters. I think they're sisters. That would tie in well with the witches concept. But anyway, we've got this main character who's new in high school, and there's this family of beautiful people that everybody's saying are witches, and our main character gets kind of obsessed with them. I went and checked the Goodreads ratings, and it was a very divisive book. It was one of those books that is getting like 5 stars and then 1 and 2 stars. So I think it'll be really interesting to see where I fall in that. And finally, number 1, my most anticipated addition to my TBR is The Family Plot by Sherry Priest. And this one is an adult novel. It's a ghost story that is out on the 20th of September. And what can I say? I just love Sherry Priest's writing. She has this great modern gothic sensibility that I really, really love, and I've read a lot of her books and loved all of them, so I just want to read her next one that she's been talking about all the way through writing it for the past year or so. I follow Sherry Priest on social media pretty closely, mostly because if you've never seen pictures of her cats and her dog on her Twitter, it is worth it just for that. But also she has a blog in which she talks about her writing habits, which I find really interesting as a writer myself. I've heard her talk about The Family Plot all the way through writing it. I didn't realize that it was going to be out this year when I made my most anticipated releases of 2016 video, otherwise it would have totally been on there. To be honest, I've kind of kept myself from figuring out too much about the plot of this one, even though there's a bit of a synopsis on Goodreads. I trust Sherry Priest. I trust her writing and her choices in terms of the story and the plot and where it goes. She's probably one of the writers where most often I read a book of hers and I'm like, this is exactly 100% what I wanted. So, you know, I'm just going in blind. I'm pretty happy with just going into a Sherry Priest ghost story. Happy with that. So that's it. Those were my 5 most recent additions to my TBR. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if there's any books that you're dying to read, either books that you didn't know existed that have been out for ages or newly announced releases. If you'd like to see more from me, check the sidebar right here for more videos. And if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button for new videos from me every week. I've been Claire, thanks so much for watching, and see you soon.